You'd better buckle up for this. This is hashtag Skip Rides the Troller Coaster number, you ready for this? Number 8. This troller coaster is about to feature the best batch of behind-the-scenes questions we have ever received. Thank you for all your questions. I now have the opportunity to answer questions I would never have the opportunity to answer in the debate format that is Undisputed. Question number 1. Brady from Columbus, Ohio asks, how many more times on Instagram do we have to see that 2 a.m. alarm clock? You know LeBron isn't waking up that early. No, I don't know that. Brady from Columbus, are you sure after all the LeBron posts about how early and long and hard he works out every day, especially during the off season, that he hasn't just finished his first workout by the time I wake up at 2 a.m.? I do get up out here in the Pacific time zone. I'm in Los Angeles. I get up every single morning at 2 a.m. Why? Because for 10 years at ESPN, I got up every single weekday at 5 a.m. So it's 2 a.m. here. So every clock in our house here on the west side of Los Angeles, about a mile or so from where I sit right now at the Fox studios, every clock in the house is on East Coast time, because I try to trick my mind into thinking it's really 5 o'clock when it's 2 o'clock. I hate to even think about 2 o'clock, and I'm angry that I'm having to think about 2 o'clock right now, because if I let it go in my psyche, it just wears me out, and I need a nap. But the point is that I do get up at 2 because I'm hell-bent to get ready for Undisputed, which obviously starts at 6:30 here, which is 9:30 Eastern time. And what I do is I read all the overnight breaking news, I stretch, I get on the treadmill, and every single day without fail, I run for 1 hour on the treadmill just to get my adrenaline up. I can't do Undisputed unless I feel the endorphin high of a very early morning run. So this brings me back to LeBron James, who constantly posts about how hard he works out. And it drives me crazy because it is myth-making about LeBron. I think he's a great player, but does he have to keep telling us how great he is? Shouldn't every player work out hard? Why are you so insecure, LeBron James, that you keep having to build your myth higher and higher with how long and hard you work out? You don't think Kevin Durant works out long and hard? I hear that his workouts are legendary, but he does not post them on Instagram or social media. I believe Kawhi Leonard works out at least as hard as LeBron ever dreamed of working out, but we don't see him post anything on any social media platform. It reminds me of the early days I was covering the Dallas Cowboys, 1986. You longtime Cowboy fans will remember this. LeBron will remember this as a longtime Cowboy fan. They brought aboard, as part of the dream backfield, Herschel Walker to join Tony Dorsett. And Herschel came in as the outsider, the interloper, and began to tell the media on a daily basis that every morning he got up and did 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 sit-ups. And slowly but surely, some of the Cowboy leaders pulled me aside as I covered the team for the then Dallas Times-Herald, and Dexter Clinkscale and Dennis Thurman and Everson Walls would say, hey, this is a bunch of baloney, except they used the other word. He doesn't do 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 sit-ups a day. So I began to call him on it in print. I had a legendary showdown on Herschel's then local TV show in Dallas, in which I called him on it because I don't believe he did. And later, Herschel all but admitted to me, I was kind of laying it on a little thick. And I think LeBron is laying it on real thick. LeBron, don't keep telling me how hard you work out. Just show me when the season starts like everybody else does. And then I had to live with Rob Pelinka, the Lakers GM, saying the other day, just volunteering out of nowhere, LeBron has slimmed up. I thought it would be slimmed down, but he said he's slimmed up for this season. Wait a second. So LeBron was a little heavy last season? How could you be heavy if you work out 4 times a day? So I'm calling LeBron on it by posting on Instagram, which I routinely have done for, I don't know, maybe 3 years, that I get up at 2 and I'm ready to rock. I just want viewers to know I'm up, I'm at it, and I want Shannon Sharpe to know I'm coming for you, Shannon, because I'm up way earlier than you get up, and the early bird, as they say, catches the worm and wins the debate. So, again, I'm going to work out just because it's who I am, but I don't post my workouts until lately when I have been facetiously, a little tongue-in-cheek, posting some views off the treadmill because I'm saying, LeBron, you're my idol. You're my hero. You're my inspiration. I'm just trying to catch up with you and all of your workouts. We get it that you work out hard. Whoops, sorry, I just about pushed my podium over because I'm so fired up. Forgive me for that. But the point is, in the end, we all work hard. I just don't think you work any harder than the rest of us. Next question for that one. Logan from San Jose, California. Who would comprise your starting 5 using only players in today's NBA? Wow, that's a great question. Wish I'd thought of that question for Undisputed. Maybe next week we'll try it. At center, I'm going with that 7-foot monster in Philadelphia, Joelle Embiid. I love Joelle Embiid. I'll take him over Jokic any day or night. He's got a little bit of a mean streak in him. I realize he's had a lazy streak in him. I realize he's been hurt too often. He's been sick too often. But when he's right, he is the rightest. And he is highly capable at 7 feet tall of making 19 out of 20 free throws. He gets to the line and he makes what are called free throws. LeBron. He does things that LeBron never thought about doing from the free throw line. Now let's move to one of the forwards. You could call it power, small, whatever you want to call it. I'm going with the best player on the planet. I'm going with Kevin Durant, another 7-foot monster capable of 30-foot hezzy pull-up 3-point shots. Never seen anything like Kevin Durant. Most efficient scorer ever. One of the more underrated rim protectors that there is. Kevin Durant recently in the annual NBA GM poll was voted in the category, which player would you want the ball in his hands at the end of games? The runaway winner of that category, the clutchest NBA player right now is Kevin Durant. LeBron James received 0 votes in that category, which brings me to a LeBron rival, a so to speak crosstown rival. The other forward is Kawhi Leonard. He is simply the most lethal mid-range jump shooter this side of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. If you saw what Kawhi did to Dallas when they were down 0-2, or Utah when they were down 0-2, you saw Kawhi at his greatest. He is a big-time, all-time clutch shooter. I just hope his knee gets right, and I am told that his knee will be right way before most people think. I think he'll be back by March. I think he'll be ready by April, and I think the Clippers will challenge the Lakers this year, which brings me to my shooting guard. Not the clutchest player ever, simply the greatest shooter ever, Steph Curry. Again, he has come up smaller than he is in too many late game playoff games. But all I know is if this is my dream team, for the first 45 minutes of the game, he's going to make a whole lot of 3-point shots for me. So I'm going with Steph as my 2 guard, not my point guard, because I reserve point guard for, wait for it, LeBron James. I say it constantly on Undisputed, and I say it from my heart. LeBron James is still the best passer in basketball. He still has the highest IQ in basketball, and he was born to play point guard. I am dumbfounded that he is readily handing over the keys to the kingdom to Russell Westbrook. You're kidding. Talk about accident waiting to happen. Talk about high turnovers. Russ has led this league in turnovers 4 times, finished second 4 times. I don't doubt he'll lead it again this year, and he's going to be the point guard instead of LeBron. Stop it. They're going to start it, but I don't think they're going to finish with it because LeBron belongs at point. Best quarterback, best distributor, best initiator is LeBron James. So that's my dream 5. I got Joelle Embiid, KD, Kawhi, Steph Curry, and LeBron James. And I'll play anybody, anywhere, at any moment, except a team with Michael Jeffrey Jordan on it. Next question. Javon from Baltimore, Maryland asks, I root against the Cowboys only because I love seeing the trash can used. When will we get to see it this season? Says Javon from Baltimore, sarcastically. Okay, Javon, I am a psycho Cowboy fan, and I admit it. I've admitted it many times publicly. I am hair-trigger emotional during games to the point my wife, Ernestine, will not set foot in the same room with me during a Cowboy game. I lose it. I scream words I'm not proud of, words I can't repeat at this moment, words that are very uncharacteristic from me outside of my office where I watch these games, in the confines of my office. And yes, there was that fateful night back in 2018 it was, I'm sorry. It was a Monday night in 2018. Tennessee came to town, to Jerry World, and Amari Cooper had just joined my Dallas Cowboys. And my Cowboys all time stunk it up. Laid the biggest egg they've ever laid for me on Monday Night Football, given what I thought they were going to be. The Titans just bullied them, humiliated them, embarrassed them. Dak threw an end zone interception aimed at Amari that was just incomprehensibly bad. His QBR scale of 0 to 100 was 23 for that game. And they fell all the way after that loss to 3 wins against 5 losses. And I lost it. And I told my wife, Ernestine, I just can't take it anymore. I got to get rid of something. I got to get this stench off me. So I took off my number 4 Dak jersey, and I told her, I'm going to throw it in the trash. And she said, well, then I'm going to videotape this. And she did. And I marched into the kitchen, and I stepped down on the trash can to open the top of it, and I fired that jersey down into the trash. And she said, you got to post this. And I said, well, it's straight from the heart, and I'll live with it, and I posted it. And, of course, the following week, they shocked me again by going to Philadelphia. At that point, the Eagles were flying high. Fly, Eagles, fly, and then die, Eagles, die. Because Dak threw a party at Philadelphia. I didn't see it coming. They won 27-20, and they were off to the races, and they won 7 of their next 8 games. I've never seen anything like it. And after that next game at Philadelphia, I told Ernestine, I got to retrieve that jersey from the trash. And I did. And I wore it proudly the rest of the year. And I took a lot of you-know-what on Undisputed for throwing it and retrieving it out of the trash. So back to your question, when will we get to see this again? I'm here to predict right here, right now, no jerseys in the trash this year for my Dallas Cowboys. I live and die by jinxes, and usually I would think this is a jinx statement, but I don't believe they're going to embarrass me one time this year. I don't believe there are any humiliations on the horizon. I don't believe there are any Dax or Zeke jerseys going into the trash. I trust this team. This team is legit on both sides of the ball. I agree with Mike McCarthy. I have never, ever seen one side of the ball flipped as dramatically as they flipped their defense through the offseason, in large part because of Micah Parsons, their first-round pick, obviously, and then Trevon Diggs' emergence as a Pro Bowl corner. If not, I don't know, maybe the best corner in pro football as we speak. And on offense, my favorite stat is that with Dak at quarterback, my Cowboys are now 27-0, 27-0 when they run the ball more than they throw the football. Zeke is back. It's BB Zeke, is in bounce back Zeke. Zeke is freaking again because he's sleek Zeke. Tony Pollard is a revelation. Pro Football Focus now ranks Tony Pollard the best running back in pro football, and obviously he gets limited touches as the lightning to Zeke's thunder. Dak is playing at a supremely high level, worthy of a man making $75 million this year. No jerseys in the trash can. Thank you very much. Tina from Venice, California asks, what is Lil Wayne's new house like? Can't believe you get to go over there so often. Neither do I. So, my wife Ernestine and I got a great break. Our friend Wayne, as you know, has lived for years in Miami, and he suddenly picked up and moved about 6-ish months ago to Southern California, to the Los Angeles area, about 30 or 40 minutes, depending on traffic, up over the hill and down into the San Fernando Valley from where we live on the west side of Los Angeles. And we have gone out a couple of times. We plan to go out again in another couple of Saturdays just to kick back and watch college football or whatever's on with Wayne and just basically conversate. And his new house is beautiful, but it's livably beautiful. It's not ornate. It's not ostentatious. It just works. It's just Wayne. It's just so comfortable, and it's built up on a hillside around, I'm just guessing on the plot of ground, it's a couple of acres. The backyard is unfenced because the fence surrounds the couple of acres, and in the backyard you often look out the window and see rabbits in the backyard. And Wayne has already turned the guest house on the property into a recording studio, and he's back at it again because he's driven the way I'm driven. That's what Wayne and I share, is a passion for winning and a passion for sports. We're basically coming from opposite ends of the earth in so many ways, but we're so different yet so alike. And I cherish my, it's not friendship, it's my brotherhood with Wayne. And furthermore, what I appreciate the most is that I can take Ernestine with me to watch college football, for which she has little to no interest, and we'll sit with Wayne for, I don't know, 2-3 hours, talk about life and times and careers and what goes on behind the scenes. And I'll watch college football with one eye, Wayne with one eye, and yet he will allow Ernestine to stay in the conversation. It's not guys only, and he actually enjoys talking with her even more than with me. And so it amazes me how respectful he is of her presence. And I've told him that I just appreciate so much because she's so happy and feels so involved and part of the camaraderie that usually would be just two guys watching college football. So love you, man. Appreciate you. Next question. Dan from New York. Uh-oh. Who is the better free throw shooter, you or LeBron? Okay. You can laugh at me. You can scoff at me. You can curse at me. I don't care. I believe with all my heart and soul, I am a better free throw shooter than LeBron James, which is not saying very much. This is my biggest issue with LeBron, is he's always posting about how hard he's working. I'm sweating and I'm missing. Just once, I'd like to see him post shooting free throws. just a montage of swish, 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 their free throws. He has left 20,000 points on the table because he's missed so many free throws in his time. In his time, he is a 73% free throw shooter. And over the last 5 years, 4 times he's been under 70% for the season. You have no idea. I mean, I hope you do. I hope you appreciate this. How embarrassingly bad that is. LeBron James is simply the worst late game free throw shooter, clutch free throw shooter, or unclutch, that we've ever seen. I can just give you the numbers on this. Nobody has missed as many game on the line free throws over LeBron's time in the league than LeBron James. It ain't even close. He is so shaky-handed at the late game free throw line that I've pointed out again and again to my man Shannon Sharpe, whom I call La Shannon Sharpe, that LeBron runs from the late game free throw line. He'll pull up and jack up a 3 from 30 feet just so he doesn't drive the ball. What do I always call him? Best driver of the basketball I've ever seen. Freight train to the basket. Late in games, no, I don't want any part of that because I know I'm going to have to go stand there by myself, all alone in the spotlight, 15 feet away, with my hand like this. LeBron, you have to get better. And Shannon, I'm sorry, you're disqualified from calling LeBron the GOAT. The GOAT is a sub 60%, 70% free throw shooter over the last 5 years? You're kidding. You can't. You're out. You're done. Michael Jordan, 85%. Magic and Bird, 90%. We can just go on and on. All the good ones made 85 to 90% of their free throws because they're free. So, yeah. Do I think I'm a better free throw shooter? I'm a pretty good free throw shooter. I've told the story. I wrote the story for our website about my high school time in basketball. I was supposed to start my senior year for a team that got to the state finals. It was a loaded team with, 4 Division I players on it. And the coach's son started ahead of me. I did get to start 3 games. I was the 6th man. I played here and there. I don't know what I shot for the year, number of free throws. I'm going to say I shot 12, maybe 15 max. I don't think I missed one. Now, I didn't shoot any late game clutch free throws. Didn't have to do any of that because I wasn't in the game at that point. But the point is that whenever I play basketball now, whenever I just go shoot in the gym, the last thing I do before I leave, just because it's sacred to me, is I will not leave the gym until I make 10 straight free throws. Sometimes I get on a roll and I'll make 20 straight. This isn't Guinness Book of World Record stuff. I'm just saying I'm a pretty good free throw shooter. And yet, if I actually had a contest with LeBron, would I choke my guts out? Yeah, I probably would. And maybe he would too. Maybe it'd be a clank fest. Maybe it'd be who missed the fewest free throws. But I do believe in the end, I'm just a better free throw shooter than LeBron, which is why I call him the phony GOAT. Next question. Chris from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Here we go again. Does Aaron Rodgers crack the top 10 of your list of greatest quarterbacks in NFL history? No, he does not. And I'm about to tell you why. Aaron Rodgers is the most overhyped quarterback in the history of pro football. I'm not going to go overrated, just overhyped. All I hear from my man Shannon Sharpe, NFL Hall of Famer, is he's the greatest thrower of the football ever. And what? What do you have to show for it? So I look down my top 10 list, which goes actually to 11, but I go Brady, Montana, Staubach, Elway, Marino, Favre, Peyton, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Terry Bradshaw with 4 Super Bowl rings, Troy Aikman with 3. I can't put Aaron above them because of his postseason record. So once upon a time, long ago in a galaxy far away, actually 10 years ago, Aaron Rodgers got to and won a Super Bowl. I give you that. It was a road wild card run that wound up in the NFC Championship game in Chicago, a game in which, if you remember, Jay Cutler wound up in the second half sitting on the bicycle on the sidelines trying to get his knee unwound because he had sprained badly. It was a bad sprain of his knee. He was trying to heat it back up so he could go back in. If you want to question his guts or his courage, Jay went to my school, Vanderbilt University, feel free. But the point is, the backup quarterback was named Caleb Haney. So all Aaron had to do to get to his one and only Super Bowl was to outplay Caleb Haney in the second half, and he did not. Aaron stunk it up in that second half and barely survived that game, but played very well in the Super Bowl. MVP, give you that. Aaron Rodgers is now 1-4 in NFC Championship games. And the truth of the matter is, after he stunk up the one, he stunk at Seattle. You Packer fans remember that. That might have been his worst game playoff-wise ever. And he stunk a year ago, now we're going back 2 years ago, at San Francisco, just stunk, and they got ramrodded. And then last year in the fourth quarter, he just stunk. I don't care what you say. We keep showing our Undisputed, but he's got it 1st and goal at the 8. And it's just abysmal what he does for the next 3 plays. He doesn't even come close. And his young coach said, Matt LaFleur, I've seen enough. We're going to kick a field goal to make it 31-26 with whatever it was, 2 minutes left. You are? Really? You gave up on that guy? Yeah, you gave up on him. Aaron Rodgers is, since that long ago Super Bowl, 7-8 in the postseason. And I can disqualify or at least put an asterisk beside of those 7 wins, 6 of them, because they had elements of luck in them. He got to play Joe Webb, a receiver starting at quarterback for the Vikings. He got to play Kirk Cousins when he was Kurt Cousins in Washington. And he benefited from the Dez caught it game, because we all know Dez did catch it. It was a touchdown. And then he benefited from Odell taking the receivers, the Giants, down to Miami to get ready for a game on the frozen tundra, a playoff game. Odell stunk it up that game. And then there was what I call the Mason crossbar game in Dallas, in which his field goal kicker made 2 late cross-country intergalactic field goals of 51 and 56 yards, the likes of which I've never seen. Go look at them on YouTube. One, it just fades to the right, a dying quail, and it just barely ekes over the crossbar. And then the other one, the game winner, he hooks left. I've never seen this happen. It's hooking this way, and all of a sudden, hand of God, it straightens out and barely makes it inside the left upright. I've never seen anything like that. Go look it up on YouTube. That's Aaron's playoff resume, and that's just supremely overhyped. Next question. Damien from Everett, Washington asks, has Ernestine come around to any of your superstitions surrounding Cowboys games? No, she has not. In fact, I'm glad you asked, Damien, because I recently had to fight through an incident with my wife, Ernestine, featuring our daughter, Hazel. She's our Maltese, about 4.5 years old. And it nearly ended our marriage, and I'm not kidding. We fought for days over this. This was during Cowboys at Chargers. This happened with about 2 minutes left in the game. Ernestine knows my jinx rules. I don't ask for much from her. I just ask, please honor the jinx rules. The jinx rules include this fact of life, that if you start watching a game with me, you have to keep watching, because if you leave, I'll lose, because it'll immediately change and Dak will throw an interception and Zeke will fumble. You can scoff at me, you can say I'm absolutely psycho nuts, and you are right, but I can show you time and again where I'm proven right that one little instance of something that happens in our household in Los Angeles can affect a game that's being played in Foxborough. And it happened again. So I told Ernestine before the Cowboy game started that I can't take Hazel for a walk tonight. I just got too much going on. I always take Hazel for a walk, or we do, most nights. And I hate it that Hazel's just cooped up all day, because she's just a ball of fire and she needs to get out, fresh air, and just get a little bit of exercise. We play chase in the house, but I didn't have time to play chase on that Sunday because it was wall-to-wall big games. So Ernestine decides to ask her sister to come over, and they're going to take Hazel out, but she just barges through the door with 2 minutes left. Hazel has been watching the whole Cowboy game with me. And sometimes she sits in my lap, sometimes she sits on the floor. And when I scream and yell, it doesn't even faze Hazel. She's incredible. She's impervious. I can scream bloody murder. I can scream words I cannot repeat here. Scream, like just scream them out. And she'll just, if she's asleep, she'll look at me with one eye like and just go back to sleep. It just doesn't bother her. It hasn't warped her. She doesn't need therapy. She's cool with it. So I'm cool with her watching the Cowboy game with me. But if you want to, like, Ernestine says she's like your little Buddha, okay, but she was watching the game with me. So Ernestine blows through the door and says, I'm going to take her for a walk. No, you can't take her right now, but I'm watching because at that very moment, I wrote down the play in question. Cowboys are up 17-14. It's 2nd and 6 at the Dallas 32, and Justin Herbert hits Keenan Allen for 30 yards just as she blows in the door. And I'm like, no. And they got it 1st and goal at the 2-yard line. No. And she grabs Hazel and she says, I'm just going to take her right. No, you can't do it to me. We've got them 17-14. You can't do it. And as she is pulling her out the door, she says, I'm out. I said, no, don't. And I'm trying to keep my mind and eye on the game. And they come back to the line of scrimmage, and Justin Herbert rises up and hits Jared Cook, who's just bedeviled me his whole career. Wherever he goes, he's scoring on me. I don't know. And then the next year he gets bounced somewhere else. I don't get it. But Jared Cook catches a touchdown pass. And I reach at that very second and I say, you cannot take her. And I pull Hazel away from Ernestine and I hug her to my breast. And guess what happens? There's a flag on the play. There's a flag? What flag? I didn't see anything go wrong. Illegal motion on the Chargers. What? And the announcers are saying, we can't see anything here. And eventually, I think it was actually on Jared Cook. I don't think he went in like short motion, and I don't think he quite got set. Whatever, I'll take it, because all of a sudden it's 1st and goal at the 7, incomplete. And then you know what happened on the next play? 2nd goal from the 7, my man Micah happened. Justin Herbert retreats, and then he retreats, and he retreats, and he retreats, and Micah sacks him for a 18-yard loss, and they wind up having to kick a field goal to only tie the game instead of being up 4, which allows my man Dak Prescott to go 49 yards in 11 plays to set up after Mike McCarthy naturally botches all the time management. At the end, it didn't matter because Greg the Leg hits a 56-yard field goal at the buzzer to win it. Thank you, Hazel. Hazel Bayless deserved a game ball for that game, and those are my jinx rules that almost got broken, but I showed you as soon as I pulled back my little Buddha, my little Hazel, ball game. We got this. Trust me, it always works. Next question. Dan from Portland, Oregon asks, if you got to play a round of golf with Michael Jordan, knowing he's a huge golfer, what other athletes would also you'd like to invite to play in that foursome? Okay, I got 2 issues here. Number 1, I do play golf, and once again, I will be the first to admit I'm a psycho golfer. I've never seen any golfer like me on a golf course, where I have some golf talent. I'm capable every once in a while of breaking 80 if my putter gets hot. I'll hit some good shots. Sometimes I'll hit some great shots. But mostly I'm 85-ish. And some days when I'm out of sorts, I can just lose it and I can't even break 90. The point is, I have friends who say, God, what I would give to play with Tiger Woods or even an aging Jack Nicklaus or Bryson or Brooks Koepka, whoever it is, Spieth, any of those guys, what would you give? And I say, I wouldn't give anything. Like, the last thing I want to do is play with Tiger Woods because I would get humiliated. I like to watch Tiger play golf. It's sensational. But why would I want to try to match firepower with Tiger Woods? He's going to hit it 100 yards past me every time. And I'm going to miss-hit some shots because I'm going to get nervous and I'm going to screw up and I'm going to be humiliated. I don't want to do that. So my point is, it's not the golf foursome that I would look forward to. It's more like dinner foursome. Now you got it, because now I don't have to humiliate myself. And I got to know Michael Jordan in Chicago, and he's fascinating to me, and I get along with him. A lot of media people didn't. So, yeah, would I like to sit with him at dinner? Sure, I would. I don't know Tom Brady. I know he watches Undisputed because he gives hell to Shannon Sharpe about his opinions of Brady, and he has thanked me publicly, Brady has. So would I like to have Tom Brady in that dinner foursome? Sure, I would. The two GOATs. And then our fourth in the foursome, laugh if you will, LeBron James. I say it all the time on TV. People think I hate him. I think he's a really good guy, sometimes too nice a guy in the basketball sense. And he's funny, and he's smart, and he likes to laugh. And I think that would be my dream dinner company, would be Jordan, Brady, and LeBron. And obviously, at some point in the night, I just might bring up something about how do your GOAT characteristics compare to their GOAT characteristics, and we might have a conversation about, LeBron, do you really believe you even belong in the same breath with this guy or this guy? I don't think you do, but we should discuss that over dinner, and they can have a few drinks. I'm not a big drinker myself, but whatever. That would be my dream foursome over dinner. But LeBron, I don't think even plays golf. I know I'm a member of Brentwood Country Club out here in LA. That's where I play golf, and it's like 2 blocks from LeBron's house. As far as I know, I don't know exactly where LeBron lives. That's what they all say. So early on, when I was a Brentwood member, some of the higher-ups there said, well, could you maybe ask LeBron if he'd like to join here? And I said, well, I don't really know LeBron, but I know his inner circle very well, starting with Maverick Carter. I could go through Maverick and just check on it. And I did, and I never heard back, because I think LeBron James, the last thing in the world he'd want to do is be a member of the same club I was a member of. Thank you very much. Next question, Jason from Davis, California. If the Cowboys make the Super Bowl in LA at SoFi Stadium, will you attend? Also, do you ever get the quote-unquote itch to go to games in person, knowing you prefer to watch from home? I definitely get the itch, but I can't scratch it. It's hard to explain what happens when I actually try to attend a game, so I just don't anymore. If I sit in the stands, many people around me are constantly saying, what'd you think of that? And believe it or not, I'm actually a pretty good guy, so I'm going to answer them. But it's incredibly distracting for me from not just my job, from my life. My life is watching these games. I don't just watch games, I absorb games, as Shannon will attest. And every moment of game watching is geared toward winning the debate the following day on Undisputed. So it's incredibly distracting to the point of debilitating for my career to go sit in the stands with people saying, what'd you think of that? Or if they know I'm rooting for one side, how about that, Skip? And I'm going to react, I'm going to respond. And if I say, well, I can't do that in the stands, if I go up in a luxury box, it's just too far away for me. I don't want that view of a game. I want the TV view. I want up close and really personal, because that's the only way to let it really sink in what's going on. And I invariably find when friends of mine go to a game that they know about half as much about the game when they get back than I know from watching TV. So it's a TV life that I'm living. And if you want to know the truth, the last time Ernestine and I went to any game of any kind was just before the pandemic broke. It was a Friday night here in LA, and my school, Vanderbilt, best baseball program in America, opened the season, it was early in the season, with a big game, an intersectional clash against the UCLA Bruins at Jackie Robinson Stadium, like 5 minutes from where we live on the west side of LA. And Ernestine, not a huge baseball fan, but I said, let's just go because it'll be great out there, and it was. It was great atmosphere, and we just sat in the stands. But all day long, she kept saying, hey, do you realize what's coming? No, I don't. Do you understand what COVID is? No, I really don't. I don't care because it can't be that big. Trust me, she said, it's going to be a big deal. She said, will you do me a favor? If we go and we sit outside, nobody even thought about wearing masks yet. She said, when the game's over, will you not do selfies with the students? Because usually the kids want to come up and talk sports and take selfies. And I said, well, I don't know. That'd be kind of a jerky thing to do. And she said, you can't do it tonight. It's getting too dangerous. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. Was she ever right? And was I ever wrong? Because that night, as soon as the game ended, I'm exiting up the stands, beautiful night in LA, and a bunch of UCLA kids saw me and all just came and lined up. I don't know, it seemed like 50 to take selfies and talk a little bit of sports. And she just kept walking. She said, I'm going to the car, you're on your own. And she was furious with me because I did every last one of them. I don't know how threatening it was to my health at that point, but the next Wednesday night, I believe, was when the NBA shut down. So she was way ahead of the curve as usual, and that's the last game I attended, and I miss it dearly. Next question. Sammy from Aurora, Colorado asks, what would happen in a hypothetical matchup between Shannon Sharpe and Trevon Diggs? Now, that's a great question. Okay, so are we talking about Trevon right now and Shannon right now? Because Shannon just got his hip replaced. So I think Trevon at this moment could sit in a lawn chair and cover Shannon Sharpe. I think he's going to have his other hip replaced in short order in the next month or two. But I assume we're talking about Shannon in his prime and Trevon as he is just starting to enter his prime as very possibly the best cornerback in pro football as we speak. Now, obviously, cornerbacks almost never cover tight ends, which is what Shannon was as a Hall of Famer. But let's just do the hypothetical because Trevon's a bigger corner. He goes about 6'2"-ish, long arms. Shannon about 6'3"-ish, obviously outweighs Trevon. But I believe this. If Trevon Diggs covered Shannon Sharpe in his prime for every game, there's no way Shannon would ever have made it to the Hall of Fame. That's how good Trevon Diggs has become. He is a receiver masquerading as a cornerback. And I believe if he covered Shannon for one hypothetical game in Shannon's prime, I'll give Shannon one catch for 6 yards, and I'm going to give Trevon 2 interceptions on balls thrown at Shannon Sharpe. And I believe that Trevon Diggs would do to Shannon what I do to Shannon every day on television. He would shut him down and shut him up. Next question. Avis from Queens, New York. Is there a trick that you use to knock Shannon off balance during a debate? Now, that's a very deep inside, great question. Okay, the first trick I use, which did not work this week on Undisputed, I try to lull him to sleep on a bet that we might make on a football Friday, or an NBA Friday for that matter. I try to set him up for the kill, and I don't know, I've lost track. I think I'm up over 100 cases of Diet Mountain Dew. That's what we bet. That's our currency. I think I'm up over 100 cases on Shannon since we first started Undisputed back in 2016, September 6th of that year. And many times, Shannon sets the trap and walks into it himself because many times he proposes these bets, but it's because I've set him up with all of my bluster through the week about how great my Cowboys are, or great the Buccaneers are, whatever, and all of a sudden he gets so angry that he makes a foolish bet, a fool's gold bet, and I win more of the breakfast of champions, the nectar of the gods, Diet Mountain Dew. But in general, just so you get this, I think my biggest advantage over Shannon is that he likes to go first in every debate. He likes to be able to get his case out on the table. He likes to be able to make every point he wants to make before I attack. It just makes him feel more comfortable, levels the playing field, where he got to go first and establish his beachhead in the middle of the table. Please don't tell Shannon I said this, but that is huge advantage me, because I've done this so long, for those many years at ESPN as well as here at FS1, that I am supremely confident in carefully listening to what he's telling me across the table on live TV. I've encountered many debaters in the past who can't listen. It's just hard because it's going so fast. You're just trying to remember your stuff. And if I go first occasionally, it puts Shannon in an awkward spot because he's just trying to remember, okay, this is the point I want to make. I'm going to go X, Y, Z, and then I'm going to go back. Okay. I don't care about X, Y, Z because I've prepped it, I've memorized all my points, and I'm perfectly willing to reorder my points depending on whatever case he makes. I only know before the show that he's a pro or a con. That's all I know. But I have no idea where he might go with that. And sometimes he might finesse, change his opinion slightly. So I get blindsided on live TV fairly regularly. But I'm going second, so I have the opportunity to listen carefully, process quickly, reorder my plan of attack. Maybe I was going to go point A, B, and C, but I got to go down to F to start with because his biggest salvo came on F, and I'm going to defeat F first. And then I'll get back to A, B, and C because I'm comfortable doing that. But I feel like he's at a bigger disadvantage going first because I get to hear his whole argument, and then I get to shred it. And conversely, in my many years on ESPN with my debate partner, Stephen A. Smith, he often asked me to go first, in part because I believe that Stephen A. wanted to listen carefully to what I had to say, let me make my case, and then maybe the biggest thrust of my case he would just ignore, and he would pick on point E or F and say, wait a second, did you just say that? Yeah, I did. What of it? And we go over there and fight on that point for a while, which really wasn't the primary approach of the question. It wasn't the central issue that we were trying to debate, but he could fight with me on that point and hang with me on that point better than my central point. So it matters hugely who goes first. And please don't tell Shannon I said this, but I got him when he goes first. Good question. Next question. Same idea. Do you ever reuse your notes on Undisputed, or do you write down a new set each morning during your prep? This is way inside baseball about my prep for Undisputed. The other day I posted on Instagram a shot of, it was actually just my Cowboy game notes for a Monday show on Undisputed. And it's hieroglyphics. It's inscrutable to most naked eyes. It's impossible for anybody to cheat off my notes because they couldn't read my notes, but I can. In fact, I got notes here that look pretty much like them. You probably can't see these, but this is my chicken scratch that I perfected in my many years of taking notes as a newspaper columnist and a book writer. The point being that I redo the notes every single morning, 5 days a week for 50 weeks a year, because this is the way I prep. It's flash memory. I memorize my notes and my points by writing them down. And the more I write, the more I'll remember, because the point of live national TV debates is think fast, grab fast, if he goes here, what was that? Oh yeah, I got this point because I wrote it down and it stayed in my temporary memory off that morning. And so I'll have 5 or 6 sheets just filled with hieroglyphics that I may or may not be able to read on the fly or find on the fly, but because I wrote it, I see it, and I grab it, and I win with it. So, great question. Next question. This will be the last question. Rochelle from Del Mar, California asks, glad we get to read articles from you again. What is your process like for writing articles versus preparing for Undisputed? Another great question. And I thank you for that, Rochelle. This question is dearest to my heart. I have been writing over the last couple of years magazine-length pieces for our website here and all of our social platforms. Maybe you've seen a couple or all of them. My late mother used to tell me repeatedly, you know, you're pretty good on TV, but you were born to write. The inference was always, you're really not very good on TV. Why don't you just give that up and do what God put you on this earth to do, which is write? Columns, magazine-length pieces, books, essays, whatever. And I love doing TV because it's so different from the writing process. So TV to me is like I'm back at Vanderbilt and I'm cramming and pulling an all-nighter for some midterm test. And it's frantic and frenetic and crazed, and it's over-caffeinated and over-pressured, and it's going to come to a crescendo when I go to that class at 9 a.m. in the morning, and I try to spit it all back out because it's all flash memory. And it's an incredible rush, disposable, but incredible. But I know when it's over, I can go take a nap. And so I just go and go and go with that frantic, crazed process. And I drink a little too much Diet Mountain Dew, although I'm trying to restrict myself to 1 a day in the morning just before the show, just for the caffeine. But I love the taste of it, and I don't get paid a cent by Diet Mountain Dew or any of those accompanying products. I just like the taste of it, and I like the jolt of it. So that brings me to the writing, and maybe you've seen that I've written about Tom Brady, Tim Tebow, the day I intended the greatest college football game ever played in my mind, 1971, Nebraska at Oklahoma. That was just a couple of weeks back that I wrote that. I wrote a whole piece about my life and times, my upbringing, my broken home, my early involvement in all the sports that I played, for better and for worse. And I love doing all those because I can actually finish them. TV is the most imperfect process ever invented. I never like anything I do on TV when it's over, but I know I get another shot tomorrow to make it better. When I finish one of these pieces for our website, it's as right as I can make it. I drive people crazy because I'm constantly rewriting and re-editing this and that before we actually post it. But you know what? I can get it the best it can be. And I love that. It gives me far more satisfaction. It's far more gratifying than the daily battle with Shannon on Undisputed. In the big picture, I'm addicted to Undisputed, but I know in my heart I'll never give up writing, and I plan to write several more books and lots more magazine-length pieces. But in the end, I know that the quest for perfection on Undisputed is unquenchable. It's impossible. it is the most imperfect, quote unquote, art form ever invented, because there's no art to it, because it's live and it's unscripted, and I am a raging perfectionist and I can't ever quite get it right. Even on today's show, we did a topic on Giants at Cowboys, and I completely left out a key point to my argument, and I don't know why. That rarely happens. I just blanked it out. Shannon went over here, and I went over there to battle him, and then it took us over here, and then it came back there, and all of a sudden I'm hearing my ear start rapping. When you hear that, we got maybe a minute before we got to stay back on schedule and get to commercial break. And I just blanked it out. I'd even asked for the video of it, where I could call for the video to demonstrate my point, and I airballed it. I choked, and it drives me crazy. And yet I know it'll hurt me tonight, but we got another show on Monday, and maybe we'll have another one on Tuesday, God willing, and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and it'll just keep on keeping on. So I'm far more addicted to the rush of TV at this point in my career than I am to writing, because in the end, I'm still in search of that perfect show, and I don't think I will ever, ever achieve it. So I hope you liked this show, this Troller Coaster number 8. I thank you for all your great questions. I want to thank Jonathan Berger and his cavalcade of stars behind the scenes here at FS1 for making this possible. And I will see you on Undisputed.